prove anything to you anymore because I know that I'm a great friend. And I know the kind of mom I am, and I know the kind of human being I am.
Nobody prepares you.
No, but even down, and I know the kind of human being I am. I don't know what I'm doing yet. Of all things, it's making me emotional. Oh, I don't know, I wasn't expecting that one. This is why it's so nice to not have makeup on.
I am getting emotional right now. I have full body chills right now. Do you ever feel unworthy?
What's wrong with the questions and answers in this podcast? What are the linguistic signs that things aren't as perfect as Meghan and Jamie make them seem? How do these signs contradict Meghan's victim narrative and success story? We've now reached the point in the interview where Meghan lets us all know just how much her support means for Prince Harry. Get ready for a touching exchange.
With everything he's doing with Invictus Games and all the projects he's so passionate about, what are the best ways that you support him that he needs with all of those?
What are the best ways, Jamie says, a presupposition question, which makes it easy for Meghan to speak in a monologue format about her essential help. Asking what are the best ways is different from asking, do you support him, or something similar. A presupposition question like this points to the intention with the podcast, to rebrand Meghan as thoughtful, caring, and unique.
He needs with all of this.
You know, I think a lot of it is being a soundboard, especially because I don't read media or press.
Yeah.
I'm a good barometer of just sometimes maybe just a very removed point of view because I'm only looking at it through the lens of loving him.
Yeah.
So love's the only lens. Sure, we saw that in the Oprah interview where Meghan didn't have self-protective and thus self-serving motives at all.
I mean, I wrote letters to his family when I got there saying, I am dedicated to this. I'm here for you. Use me as you'd like. There was no guidance as well, right? You know, unlike what you see in the movies, there's no class on how to speak, how to cross your legs.
Nobody prepares you.
But even down to like the national anthem. No one thought to say, oh, you're American. You're not going to know that. That's me late at night Googling, what's the national, I've got to learn this.
This just radiates love.
Lens of loving him.
Yeah.
Meghan never misses an opportunity to claim that she doesn't read media or press, even though, strangely enough, she always seems to know exactly what's being said about her.
But to the world, it's just, what has she been doing? Does she work? As opposed to, oh my gosh, I work so hard. And when people are saying, why wouldn't you film this in your own kitchen, at your own house? It's a crew of 80 people.
Yeah.
Would you have 80 people in your house when your kids are coming home from school or for lunch? No.
But more interestingly, not reading media or press isn't something to be proud of. All it suggests is that the person saying it is hypersensitive to criticism. And more importantly, how can you be a reliable soundboard or barometer if you don't know or pretend not to know what's being said about you in the press? A very removed point of view is the last thing you need if you truly want to be better at what you do or truly rebrand yourself, because you need to know how you come across to people. But we can't have reality ruin the self-delusion. And speaking of self-delusion, what has Meghan's barometer caused Harry to do? It's caused him to make private matters public.
And he was coming for my wife. She wasn't there at the time. He was shouting at me. I was shouting back at him. And he snapped. And he pushed me to the floor.
He knocked you over?
He knocked me over. I landed on the dog bowl.
To make damaging claims about his own family.
Right from the beginning, before they even had a chance to get to know her.
And what was that based on, that mistrust?
The fact that she was American, an actress, divorced, black.
But all those things within the family also were sources of mistrust?
Yes. They were happy to lie to protect my brother. They were never willing to tell the truth to protect us.
However, in spite of all that, Meghan continues the self-aggrandizement, encouraged by Jamie's loaded question.
What's in his best and highest good? What's in the best interest for us as a family? What will help nurture him and help him find balance?
Yeah.
Earlier, Meghan made a statement that revealed a lot about how she views herself and Prince Harry.
I always think about it like the end of Super Mario Brothers when you get to the final level. And what's the goal in Super Mario? They're like, slay the dragon, save the princess. I'm like, that's my husband. He's just out there just constant. Like he's just going to do whatever he can to make sure that our family is safe and protected and we're uplifted and
he snapped.
And still make time for date nights.
According to Meghan's conveniently oversimplified protagonist-antagonist framework, she's a princess, and Harry's a compliant partner or servant who takes care of the dragons for her. Coupled with all the things Harry's said over the years that have only added to the backlash, it doesn't seem like his balance is Meghan's top priority. It doesn't seem like he's doing what's in his highest good. With descriptions like these, Meghan assumes authority over Harry, as if she's in control of his life. Harry saying the same about Meghan, or being allowed to say the same about Meghan, more like it, is unthinkable. What's most important to Meghan, above all else, is to try and guide people's perception of her. That's why she constantly draws the conclusions for people before people have a chance to form their own opinion, like this.
It was at that moment that I realized the magnitude of my actions. At the age of 11, I had created my small level of impact. It was several years ago in 2014 that I was first invited to be a counselor at One Young World. I was probably a lot like each of you, young, ambitious, advocating for the things I deeply and profoundly believed in.
Next, she tries to guide people's perception of her parenting skills. Notice her self-repair, which is telling in this regard.
When Lily grows up, what are your hopes that she would share and say about her mother?
Oh, what a great question. I hope she says, I know that they'll feel like, oh my gosh, no one has ever loved someone more than the way our mom loved us.
Meghan replaces Jamie's hope, indicating uncertainty, with no, indicating certainty, and Jamie's say to feel, as if Meghan has insight into their thoughts and feelings, not only right now, but also in the future. Thus, she modifies Jamie's question in order to be able to give an even more self-aggrandizing answer. The self-repair and thus modification is very deliberate, as evidenced by Meghan's pause and subsequent slow speech rate, in order to accentuate or exaggerate, more like it, all the good things she knows they'll feel. Again, Meghan assumes authority over the people in her life because realistically, it's impossible to know what someone's going to feel. You can't predict or dictate someone's love. You can't know, you can only hope. But it isn't enough for Meghan to reuse Jamie's verb, hope. No, she has to act like she's omniscient. Why? Because this is all about self-aggrandizement, performing. Think of how unnatural a statement like Meghan's would be in a normal conversation. The emotionally manipulative aspect of this unnatural conversation is about to reach new lows, as Meghan calculatingly talks about an idea someone gave her. Brace yourself.
And so I'd created for the kids these email addresses that I will give them at some point in their lives when they're older. And you email them like, here's your report card from today, or oh my gosh, you said the funniest thing this morning, or here's a picture of you two having breakfast, or here's you playing with the dog. The things that you're not going to frame, the things that you're not going to put pen to paper in a journal.
It seems Meghan can't help but look for the camera, because we can't have viewers not paying attention to her performative emotional descriptions, can we?
But they will end up at one point in their life, maybe when they're 16 or when they're 18, that I say, here's an email that I've been keeping for you.
I have full body chills right now.
For your whole life. And here's everything and every moment that I wanted to tell you how much I love you and like how proud I am of you. And of all things, it's making me emotional.
But what exactly is it that supposedly makes Meghan emotional? Something that's actually happened? No, a self-serving scenario with a monologue that sounds like it comes straight from a pretentious romantic movie. a scenario which once again highlights Meghan's supposed qualities as a thoughtful and caring parent. Thus, Meghan makes Meghan cry. She's literally crying over her own thoughtfulness in this imagined scenario. What's even more noteworthy about that is that Meghan and Jamie are both painfully aware of performing emotions like this.
I have full body chills right now.
You're making me emotional.
The self-awareness, this performative aspect of the emotional conversation continues, casting doubt on the sincerity of the statements they make, to say the least. Let's watch.
For them to be able to look back and go, oh my gosh, she has loved us so much. And that's, I think, the best part about being a mom. And we go back to like a love language or gifts. It's not about the grandeur of a gesture. It's about, I see you. I'm nurturing you and I see you so deeply. And I love being able to see your growth. And I'm just so proud of them.
So beautiful.
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't expecting that one. Yeah, they're just it's just so great. This is why it's so nice to not have makeup on.
Right?
Thank you.
How do you cry? Because you're an excellent, excellent crier.
Thank you very much. Sometimes if you just stare really hard for a long time, tears will come. But no, it's more than that. It's just being in it. I mean, the stakes are so high, who wouldn't be crying?
I like how Meghan, even though she's so overwhelmed by emotions, is able to think clearly enough to remind viewers that she's not wearing makeup, a point she and Jamie have made a big deal out of.
When you were saying, like, do you want to just do like cozies and no makeup? I like the idea of like, okay, great. Let's let them see us.
Yeah.
See our friendship, see us, see what it's really like.
While not wearing makeup make you look more natural, it doesn't make your statements and personality more natural. And that's the problem in this excerpt. With the hyperbolic language we've come to expect from Meghan, she uses yet another made-up quote to calculatingly underline her qualities as a parent. So once again, Meghan makes Meghan cry. Meghan consistently chooses fantasy over reality, probably because reality could never live up to the high regard she has for herself.
A love language.
It's so inspiring that even though she's so overwhelmed by emotions, and we must never doubt that she is, she still remembers the platitudes from her script. Love language is a great addition.
And it becomes part of your love language. It's how you communicate without saying a word. You just show up for each other.
That love language. It's about, I see you. I'm nurturing you and I see you so deeply. And
could this imagined scenario be any more pretentious? With performative repetitions like these, Meghan practices empathy, practices making empathetic statements in order to play on people's emotion and pity, pathos.
Oh, I don't know, I wasn't expecting that one.
No, of course not, because her love language, with the imagined scenarios and movie scene descriptions, sounds completely natural. Absolutely nothing in this podcast has seemed rehearsed or like cunning moves to make Meghan sound unique.
The world now can see these wins, which is really exciting, but you've been working so hard. Like you've been working so hard for so long, and all of a sudden it's all coming, like everything is blossoming right now. Your husband just shared publicly for the first time, he said, I'm so happy for my wife and fully support absolutely everything she's done and continues to do.
When did he say that?
This week. It's everywhere in the press, yeah.
A word that I use a lot with them is yet, you know, and how to reframe things for a kid when they're like, I can't do it. I can't do it yet. No, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough yet.
It's easy to see why this would be a tactic Meghan would use, like, my cooking show hasn't been a success yet, or my podcast hasn't been a success yet. It's the ultimate way of never having to deal with reality, the reality of how people actually perceive you. The ultimate way of never having to hold yourself accountable by asking questions like, should I really have a cooking show? What are my merits? Or are the things I have to say important enough to launch a podcast, etc.? It's the ultimate way of never having to accept that there are areas you just aren't talented in. And Meghan's tried a lot of different areas, from writing a children's book as if she's a writer, to hosting a cooking show as if she has a relevant education, Saying yet functions as a shield from realizing that she isn't suited for the many areas she's tried succeeding in. And that's okay, not every public figure is talented, not every public figure deserves praise. The problem with Meghan, however, is that she cunningly tries to sell her failures as successes.
But I'm trying to also enjoy these big wins right now.
Yes.
Enjoy them. And the more that you put into practice these ideas of like, put yet at the end of nearly every sentence and you feel like there's still hope and a promise that you can do it.
Yes.
But
False hope, empty promises, anything but having to face reality, it seems. Same as not reading media or press to find out how people actually perceive you.
Yes.
But when I type that to my children before I go to bed, guess what? Like I'm teaching that to them or I'm reinforcing that. But I'm also reinforcing it for myself.
Yes.
Exactly. Everyone who's exposed as being bad at something they claim to be good at needs that kind of reinforcement as a coping mechanism, as a way to keep living in their fairy tale with princesses and dragons.
Slay the dragon, save the princess.
Just gonna say that applies to every adult. That applies to me right now, all of us.
Yeah.
Yet.
I don't know what I'm doing. Yet.
If you don't know what you're doing, putting yet at the end of your sentences isn't going to change that. And no, it doesn't apply to every adult, because some adults actually have talent and don't need false assurances disguised as empowering mottos. But as always, it gets worse.
My business hasn't gotten traction yet. No one's picked up my book proposal yet.
Yes.
I haven't found my soulmate yet. Everything is yet.
The power of yet.
The power of yet.
The power of yet.
The power of yet.
Is it just me, or Meghan and Jamie's deceptive repetition starting to sound cultish? But yes, the power of yet, indeed, I agree. I use it in my company as well. You haven't been paid for overtime yet. You haven't had a weekend off this year yet. It's 2 o'clock and you haven't had a lunch break yet.
That's right, sir. Actually, I wanted to talk about that.
Talk about what? About payment, weekends, and lunch breaks, sir? What's there to talk about? I said yet, so that means it'll happen eventually. I hope, no, I know you feel that's empowering.
I get so many questions about self-worth, like, when am I going to finally feel worthy? And it's like, yet.
And of course, it's purely coincidental that Jamie uses the word worthy when that's the title of her book. And by the way, you feel worthy when you're doing something you're good at, when what you do matters to people and not just to yourself. You feel unworthy when you're bad at something you pretend to be good at. It's a question about skills, not about saying yet.
You know, I'm a businesswoman. I had a really clear job to do when I took over Bud Light. And I struggled a ton in the early part of my career with imposter syndrome, just not feeling like I was good enough. Probably the most impactful piece of advice I've ever heard. I heard the CMO of GE, this woman, Beth Comstock, and this one girl raised her hand and was like, I just want to know, where do you get your confidence from? And so she had this fantastic answer. She talked about faking it, number one. She was like, I fake it all the time. And you realize the more senior you get, everybody's faking it. And it's so true. Everyone doesn't really know what they're talking about.
For you in your life, have you ever felt unworthy?
Oh my gosh, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's where the yet comes in.
The yet.
Right?
Exactly. Meghan needs to keep saying yet so that she doesn't have to deal with reality. I wonder what's made her feel unworthy, though. It couldn't be because marrying into the royal family gave her a title that opened the doors to platforms like Spotify and Netflix, could it? That even though she brands herself as a founder, she knows that she hasn't built anything from scratch or taken financial risks. I'm not sure. I'll let you know when I find out.
Right?
And what about now? Like in your life now, do you ever feel unworthy?
sometimes not unworthy. Sometimes I feel very self-conscious.
Yes, anything to avoid admitting that you feel unworthy. How can you admit to feeling unworthy when you brand yourself as the greatest person ever? And it gets worse.
We've talked about this when you're out at the Prove It game.
Yes. Will you share more?
I don't know. What were we texting about one night? You texted me something and I said, no, there comes a point where I don't even have that text. And you said, you have to email that text to yourself. You have to remember that. That should go in a book one day.
Yes.
But this idea that we spend so much of our life trying to prove something, to prove that you're enough. You have to prove that you're pretty enough. You have to prove that you're smart enough. You prove that you're a good wife or a good friend. And I was like, I am just so done with the Prove It game.
The irony and deception in that claim, considering that this entire podcast is about attempting to prove that Meghan's the greatest wife, mother, entrepreneur, you name it. Meghan isn't done with the Prove It game. She's busier than ever playing it, in one rebranding failure after another. Prove It game. There's nothing like a convenient oversimplification to not have to hold yourself accountable. An alternative for Prove It game could be a question like, what are your merits? But the negative name Meghan chooses is deliberate, playing on people's negative emotions about having to prove yourself. With oversimplifications like this, no matter what anyone says, you're good enough, even though that doesn't have to be the case at all. Way to avoid criticism and brand yourself as a victim at the same time. This speaks volumes about Meghan's self-perception, or pretend self-perception. And next, more self-protection and self-aggrandizement. Let's watch.
Yes. When you get to the place where you feel, I don't have to prove anything to you anymore. I don't have to prove that I'm a good person. I don't have to prove to you that I'm a good wife or mom or friend. I don't have to prove that I work hard. And it can be really freeing when you stop playing the Prove It game.
What's presupposed here is that Meghan is all the things she claims she doesn't try to prove anymore. A good person, a good wife, etc. She even goes as far as saying that she doesn't have to prove anything, indicative of someone who's in it for herself and doesn't care about anyone's opinion. Someone who makes shows and podcasts to rebrand herself, not to make content that people actually want to see and hear. This is unintentionally funny. Over and over again, Meghan's emphasized how hard she works, supposedly. Yet she's done with proving it. Sure.
Oh my gosh, I work so hard and I appreciate what hard work looks like. I like working hard. And I'm still working hard. And what are the next SKUs? And what's the next tranche of products? And what's the timing on that? And writing the newsletters and writing the social media captions and making sure that all that feels in line. And what's the cadence of it? And what's the photography that we want to do? And what do I want to wear for those shoots? While also editing all the time-coded notes for season 2 of With Love, Meghan. And then being in edits for the podcast and being a mom.
The cooking show has a crew of 80 people. Think some of them might be involved in, say, the editing. But let's not let a detail like that stop Meghan from making it sound like she takes care of everything. Meghan's not really free of anything. On the contrary, the more her projects keep failing, the more she obviously feels pressure to play the Prove It game. It's strange how we don't hear renowned artists, chefs, and actors talk about proving themselves. It's almost as if people who are actually talented don't feel the need to prove themselves. Imposters, on the other hand.
Imposter syndrome.
And just in case anyone missed that Meghan was talking about herself when she talked about all the things she doesn't have to prove, but is still proving, Meghan doesn't mind spelling it out for them.
And if you can't see it, I don't need to prove to you why that's your loss. Because I know that I'm a great friend and I know the kind of mom I am and I know the kind of human being I am and I know how I show up.
You just show up for each other.
And I love being able to be that person.
So she says while shaking her head no. Meghan claims she's done with the Prove It game to make people realize how great she is, while she's literally overemphasizing how great she is. The fact that Meghan can't see the irony in that speaks to her lack of self-awareness.
Why that's your loss.
Yes, if you can't see the uniqueness in her cooking show, you'll definitely lose out on something.
Worthiness maybe part of worthiness comes when you stop having to feel like you're in the prove it game.
Hallelujah. I am getting emotional right now.
Yes, and when people are emotional, they always feel the need to tell you they are, while looking completely unemotional. And once again, know what's most important when it comes to feeling worthy, as if that even matters to someone like Meghan, is doing something you're good at, and that you've earned, not by being given a title, but by actual hard work, and because you have something relevant to offer people. The state of not feeling like you have to prove anything, as in having the merits to host a cooking show, for instance, leads to entitlement and an inflated sense of self-importance. Meghan's an example of that.
You wrote all that about not being in the prove it game anymore. And I'm just like, this is so profound.
Deeply
and it's
and
so
profoundly
simple, but so profound and so true.
And leads to a sense of entitlement and a sense that you can do no wrong. It's the opposite of being profound. It's an oversimplified and self-serving mindset, especially if we're talking about a person who pretends to be skilled at something they aren't skilled at.
I know I'm a good person. I know I'm a great friend. I know, all the things.
And you know you did your best.
I did my best. I'm doing my best as a mom.
Yeah.
Getting out of the prove it game, feels like joy, tastes like freedom.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
The only reason why they're busy overemphasizing how they're so out of the prove-it game, not unlike students in middle school, by the way, is because they know they're in it more than ever. Because the more backlash they face, the more they have to prove themselves. Why do they need to prove themselves? Because they aren't actually talented, because people don't identify themselves with them, etc.
I know I'm a good person. I know I'm a great friend. I know.
Way to never have to hold yourself accountable. Any criticism is just people being judgmental, right? It's never a you problem, right?
Things
and you know you did your best.
I did my best.
How can you know that? How can you know you did your best in a world where you aren't allowed to make judgments about what the best is?
So beautiful.
There's nothing beautiful about two adults parroting and affirming each other, that they don't have to change anything about what they say or do or how they act, especially when there's so much they need to change before the vast majority of people can identify themselves with them in any way, shape or form. The kind of change that's needed isn't possible for people like Meghan and Jamie.
And so powerful. And I'm thinking about every person listening or watching right now who's going to rewind that part of the show and watch it over and over and over and let it take root, because it's a tool that you can lean on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely a tool you can lean on. Take it from Meghan, whose cooking show is at 3.2 on IMDb and has been severely criticized. Take it from Jamie, who received more than 17,000 negative comments to this particular podcast before she deactivated the comment section. Even Meghan doesn't seem convinced.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie has no idea what viewers are going to think about what they've said, but that doesn't stop her from pretending like she does. Like Meghan, she makes up scenarios consisting of wishful thinking. The two of them live in a world where their oversimplifications are profound and their mutual flattery is honest and authentic. What's your favorite moment from this heartwarming podcast? Let us know in the comments. If you liked the video, click the like button. Until next time.
Mm-hmm. I get so many questions about self-worth, like, when am I going to finally feel worthy? And it's like, yet. Mm-hmm. Yet.
The title of your book is Worthy. And
it's like,
so today, as we sit here on this couch,
I feel worthy.
Tell me.
Yeah.